coming to you live from the Vermont Wild Kitchen. This weekend, I was very lucky to be out in the woods, and I found the first one for my season, a nice king bolete mushroom.
Start with mushroom. I'll go onion next, little red pepper, green pepper, and then I'll throw on maybe a couple pieces of turkey.
Yeah, now the peppers and onions are nice and hot, and I'm coming back to the meat. I'm just going to pick handfuls up and kind of pull it apart with my fingers to sort of shred it.
Then I just chopped up the stem right here. Gonna throw that in the butter, add some salt and pepper. You can take the cap and just chop it up in the rough chunks.
You can be walking through any woodlot looking for mushrooms, looking for scratching in the leaves. This is just a great time to combine it all into one wander in the woods.
Wow, lots of haircuts. Look at it. We already have comments rolling, and this is great. So to everybody tuning in, my name's Shane Rogers, and I work for the Vermont Farm to Plate Network at the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund. And I'm very excited to be kicking off another episode of the Vermont Wild Kitchen. And today we are going to be diving in on some wild turkey recipes with the National Wild Turkey Federation of Vermont. And we'll be covering a nice king bolete mushroom and how to make up a side dish with that along with a cocktail. So without further ado, I'm going to let the other gentlemen on this Facebook Live introduce themselves. Bob, do you want to go?
Yeah, hi, I'm Bob Etzweiler. I work with Vermont Wilderness in southern Vermont, just north of Brattleboro. Passionate turkey hunter, passionate cook as well, perhaps not a great one, but glad to be with you tonight.
Yeah, I think I know I definitely fall into the amateur category of cook, but you know, you gotta make do with what you got going. So and Brett, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Brett Ledoux, live in Heartland, Vermont. Another avid turkey hunter, maybe slightly addicted to turkey hunting. There's nothing I'd rather do other than maybe eat some wild turkey a little bit too. So I got some kebabs coming up, and I'm looking forward to sharing that recipe with you. I like to keep it simple. I'm not very complicated when it's cooking, so it should be good.
And with wild ingredients, I think the simple is always the best. So Matt, and finally we got Matt. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, folks, I'm Matt Tabona. I'm the New England Regional Biologist for the National Wild Turkey Federation. Really psyched that we're doing this program tonight. I've been wanting to do one of these all year, and now that we've just had our spring season wrap up, we've got a couple great cooks in the kitchen, and I'm interested to see how this goes. So very excited. You guys want to know more about cooking turkeys, turkey hunting, turkey biology? You got a great group of guys to ask questions to.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. So I know for folks who are tuning in for our returning viewers of this, sometimes we do have some demonstrations about how to process wild foods. We've had a couple of folks from Fish and Wildlife on showing us how to do some great fish filleting. And tonight, we're not going to get into the processing, but we did want to share an excellent video from the National Wild Turkey Federation. And I'm dropping that in the comments. And it is a very in-depth tutorial on how to process your bird when you go out and have a successful hunt. So I would definitely encourage anybody who is interested to check that out. And that is in the comments right now. So it's about 30 minutes, and it's literally anything and everything that you could possibly want to know about how to harvest as much meat as possible from your successful hunt. So
yes, special thanks to Carter Heath, who's our regional director with NWTF, and then New Hampshire Fish and Game that did a lot of put the video together. Yeah,
definitely. I think with anything in this hunting community and also the local food community, it really takes a group effort to preserve these skills and to also just share them for everybody else. So for folks who are tuning in that may not have grown up hunting or may not know exactly what they're wanting to do, I am a testament of an adult onset hunter. And I know all you got to do is ask. And I know it can be intimidating, but this hunting community is truly rooted in Vermont here. And I know it stretches across the United States as well. So just ask questions, and people are usually more than willing to share their knowledge with you, because as you'll see tonight, everybody really loves what they're doing in that connection with nature and really being able to provide sustenance for themselves. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to Bob, and he is going to dive in on our first wild turkey dish. And as always, I encourage folks who are tuning in, ask questions in the comments, share your stories about your turkey hunting adventures, or really anything else, and we'll address them as we go. So, all right, Bob, you can take it away.
Great. I'm going to be making wild turkey cheesesteaks with meat from the legs and thighs. And one of the reasons that I was excited to share this recipe, I had to make a recipe for it because I didn't have one. But one of the reasons I'm excited to share this dish is because I think legs and thighs get really overlooked with wild turkey. And I can remember back to the first turkey that I got, my grandmother took one of the legs and she slow roasted it and cooked it for hours and pulled it out and kept trying it and kept saying, "This is horrible." And so there was a part of me that kind of thought, oh, maybe you just can't make good dishes with legs and thighs. And I knew a lot of hunters that discarded them. So that seems disappointing to me. So it took a little time for me to figure out that legs and thighs can be amazing. You just have to know what you're doing. And it's not even hard, maybe just a little bit time consuming, but not hard at all. So I'm going to start into cooking legs and thighs, and then we're going to pull meat from the bone and use that meat to make cheesesteak. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have legs and thighs here. I'm going to cut the joint between the leg and the thigh. And one way that I think I'm a good ambassador for this is I'm not perfect at this, and it takes me a minute to monkey around and cut where I intend to and get things to come out right. So the legs and thighs are just joined by tendons. So if you wiggle your knife around, you can get in between, and you'll never have to cut bone. So just figure out where the tendons are in there, and you weasel your right knife around enough, and you get it. So what I'm going to do, a lot of folks use a crock pot. I don't use a crock pot for this. I just slow simmer it in water. So I'm going to take a stock pot, drop a leg in, drop a thigh in. I'm going to do the other one as well. And just as soon as I get this separated, get it down in the pot to cook.
So I'm curious, Bob, how would you relate to, how would you describe what a wild turkey tastes like if you compared it to, a Purdue turkey or, store-bought chicken and stuff? How do you compare the flavor?
That's a good question. And the other two are done. Took me a second just to separate them and into the pot. I struggle answering questions on comparing the taste. To me, it's a totally different taste from a domestic turkey. The meat to me tastes, the only way I can describe it is richer. I like it quite a bit better, and it's almost like it's bordering on a red meat or something. It's just a lot richer. I like the flavor a lot. So 2 legs, 2 thighs down in the stock pot. I'm going to go put water on this just to cover. So I'm going to let that fill up to cover, and I'm going to get a couple other ingredients ready.
How long have you been cooking with wild turkey, Bob?
I've been cooking with wild turkey for as long as I've been hunting, since the late 80s, early 90s. But I've been using regularly legs and thighs for less time than that, which is a little bit embarrassing for me to admit. So I have the pot on the stove. I'm going to use some apple cider vinegar. This is from Dwight Miller Orchards. I like a couple of glugs of vinegar. I think it helps pull some nutrition out of the bones, a little acid in there. So it's on. Lid on it. I'll often add salt, but if I'm going to use the meat for other recipes, sometimes I don't even do more than that. I put it on high till it comes to a boil, and then cut it back until it just simmers, and then let that cook that way for about 4 hours, depending on what my schedule is, anywhere between 2 hours and like 4 or 5 hours.
And would you say it's like pretty forgiving on that time if you say you had to walk away, or if you were using the crock pot?
Yeah, absolutely. Really forgiving on that time. All you really need to do is cook it. You cook it a little bit longer, and you cook it slow with a little bit of vinegar. It'll start to break down a little bit, and then it's easy to pull off the bone. I know some people that cut the meat off the bone and use it before cooking it, and totally a great option. And I find that just more challenging. So I'd rather cook it and then my fingers pull it off instead of needing a knife.
Nice.
So I've always wanted to do this. This is my dream right here. So with the magic of television here, I have legs and thighs that have slow cooked. So I'll set the other stock pot aside for now. Get this one. Open it up. And I like a set of tongs, and pull out a cooked leg and a cooked thigh. And there they are. They're spectacular. I'm such a big fan of them.
How good does your house smell right now? I feel like your cat might be smelling it too.
I'm actually going to get my wife to put the cat aside for a second.
It's a great cooking partner. I don't know.
Great. So pull the meat out. Yeah, the house smells great. I love the smell of cooking turkey. All right, the meat's out, and now I've made it's going to be hard to see, but you can see the yellow of the fat. There isn't much fat on there, but there's a little bit of yellow of the fat in there. And having slow cooked that in water makes a spectacular broth. So I'm going to set this aside and let it cool. And then I'm going to put it in a quart mason jar, put it in the fridge, and I'm going to use that for noodles or soup or something like that tomorrow. That, I can't tell you how much I love broth.
So Bob, where did this turkey come from? Was this one of your hunts this spring, or was this sitting in the freezer for a little bit?
Yeah, this was one of my hunts this spring, and there's a date on the bag. It says May 2020, so it was either Vermont or Massachusetts. I can't remember which. Great. So now I'm going to turn this down. This is a leg and thigh that I pulled out about a half hour ago. And the reason I did is so that I could use my hands on it and it wouldn't be too hot. The other one I pulled out would be too hot to work with right now. So what I'm going to do is just set a plate down, pick up, I'm going to start with a thigh because it's a little easier. Take the thigh and start pulling pieces of meat off. And then I like to pull them apart. And this is nice and stringy meat. Oh my goodness, that's just glorious. So just start pulling it apart with my fingers. We'll get to the leg in a minute, which is different yet. But there are tendons and like sheath and whatnot in the leg that makes it a little trickier. But that's super easy to just pull apart. Another thing I love to do. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how much meat do you think you get from one bird, or from one, like cooking up one? Like, how many meals do you think it's gonna make for you?
Yeah, good question. I think 2 legs and 2 thighs, so the legs and thighs from an entire bird, would make enough meat for like a family to each have a sandwich. So like 4 people to have a sandwich, maybe. So four sandwiches, or maybe 4 to 6, somewhere in there. And one thing I really like doing too is this meat now. Holy cow! Look at that. So this meat now, putting this in a crock pot, or putting this with some barbecue sauce, or using this in fajitas or quesadillas, soups. This meat pulled off the bone is so good for so many things. So here we're onto a leg. The leg is a little more tricky. You can see in here some of the tendon that runs through there. There's so much tendon in there that it's not great for. There's a piece of like bone sheath tendon right there. Pull that out. It's not, you can't cook a wild turkey leg and then just expect to eat it off the bone like a king or a Viking or something. It's too tendony, and here's another piece of this like tendon sinew. So you just pull this stuff out with your fingers, and after it's cooked, it's really easy. It just takes a little bit of time. There's a little more of this bony, tendony sinew. Pull that out, and then just the pieces that are, you get the good pieces, start pulling them apart. Gosh, I love this. Oh, there's a piece of shot. I must not have made a good shot on this one. This was a Vermont turkey. The Massachusetts turkey was a good shot.
So for folks who maybe haven't gone turkey hunting before, what suggestions would you have for them if they wanted to start exploring being able to go out into the woods and do this? And also, we can open this up to Matt or Brett as well, as Bob pulls the turkey legs apart.
One of you guys want to take that?
Go ahead and ask that question again, Shane. I was taking care of my dog.
No worries. For folks who maybe haven't gone turkey hunting or don't have a ton of experience with it, how would you suggest that folks get involved or start to learn how to go about and do it safely, and in order to be able to get some food for their dinner table as well?
Yeah, I mean, Vermont Fish and Wildlife does offer a Learn to Hunt program that I've been involved with. We're going to be doing another one this fall, I think. So contacting Nicole Meyer about that would be a great way to get involved if you've never turkey hunted before. But if you've turkey hunted or thought about it and have had a license for a while, it's probably a good idea to watch some YouTube, learn how to turkey call a little bit. If you're on Facebook, which obviously you are if you're watching this, reaching out to me or Bob or another experienced turkey hunter would be a good way to pull some information from people. I'm always open to help out as many people as I can possibly help out, which actually helps me out, especially if I get a chance to hunt with somebody that's never done it before. Gets me out in the woods a little bit more, even if I've got a tag left. I love sharing the experience with people. I know Bob feels the same way about it too. So there's plenty of resources out there. I'm hoping I'm not rambling on too much, Shane, but there's a lot of resources, and NWTF has some resources as well. If you went to nwtf.org, there's some tutorial videos you can watch through them or through YouTube. Really, the resources are endless. It's not like the old days when I first started learning how to turkey hunt, and it was trial and error, which is still the best teacher. Actually, trial and error is still the best teacher, but it gives you a good head start for sure.
Well, and I think, I would look at spring wild turkey hunting as a great entry point to hunting in general in Vermont, because it's a species. I'm sure most of you guys have probably seen a turkey running around sometime this year. It's a fairly abundant game species, and turkey hunting can be a very social thing where you can definitely hunt with a mentor. I mean, this spring was a little bit messed up, but in general, you can hunt with a mentor. You can share that experience. You can have somebody helping to cull that burden and really bring the difficulty down for those first years as you're kind of getting your feet underneath you and stuff. So, you know, and I would strongly encourage anybody to make sure you're following on us on NWTF Vermont on Facebook. We did a series of videos prior to the start of the spring hunting season that had featured Bob and Brett talking about different aspects of turkey hunting and sharing some of their knowledge. But definitely feel free to message us directly. You know, we're pretty good with response, and it's an opportunity to really network and connect with hunters like Brett and Bob. They're, you know, we have a really good community of folks that want to share their experience.
I just read Nicole's comment. You might want to start with taking hunter safety first. I think that was her suggestion, which would also be mine. Sometimes it's good to have somebody remind me of the basic steps of becoming a hunter, as I've sometimes forgotten how intimidating it can be just to get started. But it's pretty easy. We will welcome you with open arms. So
awesome.
I'd throw in real quick, get over the need to kill a turkey the first time you get out. Like, you're gonna have some bumps and bruises on the way as far as that learning curve. That's part of it. That's part of the excitement, part of the joy of it. Those stories are priceless. Any turkey hunter that I know would talk to you until sundown or sunup or whatever about turkey hunting, but most of us won't tell you where we hunt. So ask us questions all night long. We'll talk to you. Just don't ask us where we hunt.
That's some sage advice. I think that is that runs through the foraging community as well. They'll talk to you about all the things that they find. And Matt, if you want to drop the links to National Wild Turkey Federation of Vermont's social media in the comments, by all means. Bob, but continue with your delicious meal. It looks awesome.
Yeah. So I quit pulling the meat off just a few minutes ago as we were chatting there. I just wanted to show you. This is the bones that are remaining and the sheathy, tendony stuff that's in the leg, and that's all you got to pull out. That took I said time consuming. I don't want to scare anybody. It's really easy. If it's meat pulled off, if it's not, throw it in the pile to put in compost. So now I'm gonna set that aside. This is the plate of meat off of 2 legs and 2 thighs. That's enough for a pot of soup for a family, or quesadillas or whatnot. So that's a lot of good meat right there. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna take a skillet, cast iron skillet, put on the burner at a medium heat. I'm gonna put a pat of butter in there, and I'm gonna get ready to do some peppers and onions. Pat of butter. So I have a cutting board here with some peppers and onions that I picked up at Walker Farm out on Farm Stand out on Route 5 in Dummerston. I love that place. They have wonderful produce, wonderful people.
That's one of my favorite parts about hunting and wild foods is how well it pairs with all the great Vermont agriculture products that are out there too, especially this time of the year when you just can't you can shake a stick at just about anything and everything that you could ever want to eat.
I could not agree with you more. So I'm doing the peppers and onions. I'm not dicing them. I guess I don't know what this is. I'm making long strips out of them instead of like cubing them. Cut them a little bit shorter because I like long, dangly, stringy peppers and onions. All right, so the skillet's heating up. I'm gonna add just a little more butter. That's never a bad idea. Get my stir. And I'm gonna put peppers and onions in. And all I really do is soften them up a little bit. I like them a little closer to raw. But I like to soften them up a little bit, and then I'm going to pull those out. The skillet, the cast iron's still heating up a little bit. Then I'm going to pull them out, put the meat in, and start to heat it up, and then throw them all back in together.
Nice. I mean, while you're getting those cooked up, Bob, maybe I will share about a side dish.
Great.
So as we were saying, nothing really goes better with some wild edibles and some wild food than really some farm fresh ingredients. I mean, here in Vermont, we're so lucky to have so many amazing farms that are doing such good work to really step up and feed our community, especially during this trying time. I think we've seen how important a local food system can be and how important hunting and fishing can be as well to make sure that everybody's being fed. So this weekend, I was very lucky to be out in the woods, and I found the first one for my season, a nice king bolete mushroom. So as you can see, it is like relatively large and like almost like a telephone. So the Latin name for it is Boletus edulis, and it goes by king bolete or porcini, penny cap, and like many other things. And it's a pretty prized mushroom that people are seeking out, especially around this time. The place that I go look for them and where I've learned is like under conifer trees, especially hemlocks, but they could be found in any mixed wood environment. So if you're out hunting during this time, or if you're just out exploring and enjoying all the great things that Vermont has to offer, keep your eyes peeled, because after that rain that we finally got, these things are popping up all over the place. So the biggest, most important thing to remember is that if you're going to eat a wild mushroom, make sure you know 100% what you're eating. If you have like any sliver of doubt, do not put it in your mouth. Do not serve it to your family. And I cannot stress that enough. And if you're just starting out, like definitely check out some of the Facebook groups and buy an identification book. But for this one, what you're looking at is it's going to have a cap that's about 10 to 20 centimeters across. When the top gets wet, it's slippery but smooth. And the cap is anywhere from like an ochre type of color to a red brown, which you can see right here. The flesh of it is white, as you'll see when I cut it open. And that's a good sign. And then the tubes, which are on the bottom of it, they end up being white, and they can turn yellowish, tinged with green. And then it's called staining. So when you break the mushroom and the oxygen hits it, it'll end up staining even more, a little bit yellow. Probably the biggest thing that I look for, and it's going to be hard to see, is that on the stem near the apex of it, you'll be able to see some like web-like structure that's going up on top. And let me open this up all the way. Some web-like structure, and that's like a pretty good sign that you have a good mushroom. But the way to know for sure is to take a spore print of it. And again, if you're not sure, just count it as a fun find and take it home and work to positively ID it and ask folks around. People are more than willing, just like the hunting community, to help you out too. And then the other thing is that it's like a big bulbous bottom right here. So what I'm going to do for this side dish is I have a hot cast iron that's on right here. Really, what I've found over the past year of really working to cook and find all these wild mushrooms is that there's nothing better with wild mushrooms than just butter, salt, and pepper, to be perfectly honest. But for this side dish, we're going to bulk it up a little bit. So I dropped some butter in there. And what we're going to do is I'm going to cut off the dirty part. You can absolutely brush that off or use it. I would recommend not washing your mushroom because it's just going to soak up. But there you can see like that white flesh part in it. So
Shane,
cut off. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. Yeah, just my peppers and onions are soft, and now I'm coming back to my plate of meat. And
let me transfer over to you real quick.
Sure. I just need a.
There we go.
Yeah. Now the peppers and onions are nice and hot, and I'm coming back to the meat. I'm just going to pick handfuls up and kind of pull it apart with my fingers to sort of shred it as I drop it into the skillet with peppers and onions. And yeah, and welcome to Cut Back to You.
Awesome. And that looks absolutely delicious. So over here, like I said, I just chopped up the stem right here. Gonna throw that in the butter, add some salt and pepper. You can take the cap and just chop it up in the rough chunks. I particularly like it nice and chunky because I like to taste the flavor. And this just has like a delicious, almost meaty type of mushroomy flavor. It's one of my favorite ones that I've been able to start finding. And once you get eyes for it, they start popping up everywhere. And even if you don't find something, it's nice to just kind of take a stroll around the woods, whether you find yourself at your community garden or what have you. So the best thing to do is just kind of throw those in, let them sweat out, and let those juices soak back up into the actual mushroom. And then what I'm going to add into this is a bunch of veggies from the CSA that I get. It's 3 Chimney Farm here in Charlotte. So I just have some kale, some Swiss chard, some onion, carrots, and beets. And I'm just kind of making a big combination of all these wonderful veggies in here. And once those cook down, I have some rice that I cooked up earlier, and I am going to just fold that in and heat that up with some salt and pepper. And we're going to have a wonderful side dish, or even because I can't eat the wild turkey because, we're not all together, it might actually be the main dish for today. But it's pretty simple to move through to cook up a nice, wonderful side dish featuring some of the Vermont agriculture and other wild foods that you all can find. So with that, I'm going to let this cook, and I'm going to throw it back over to Bob to finish up his dish.
Yeah, for sure. So the turkey has, grab a hot pad. The turkey has finished cooking with the peppers and onions, and I am really excited about that. That maybe doesn't come through on a video screen. I like to let it get kind of hot and brown and crisp some bits of the meat. And now I'm just scooping it onto my sub roll, my hoagie roll, grinder roll. I grew up in Pennsylvania. What are they in New England? All right.
Yeah, what are they? Is it grinders in Pennsylvania? What is it?
Yeah, right. Grinders. What is it in New England? Is that just a hoagie roll? I don't know.
What did you use to season it? Just salt and pepper or anything like that?
Yeah, I forgot one thing. I also like to just salt and pepper. There's a seasoned salt I really like, and then I'm pretty simple. I like to spritz a little oregano over the top right at the end.
Nice.
And I have a grated cheese blend, shredded cheese blend. I'm going to sprinkle that across the top and then set it in the toaster oven to finish. Oh,
that sounds delicious.
The smell of the oregano, oh man, that kills me. That's so good. So there it is with the cheese on it. I'm going to slide that into the toaster oven just to melt that cheese a little bit and then pull it out. And this is my dinner. That
is awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. And I mean, that was literally, I think, 20 minutes start to finish. Of course, with the 4 hours of cooking beforehand, but a pretty simple meal if you plan ahead of time, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And the thing that I love too about slow cooking the legs and thighs like that, pull the meat off the bone. You can put it in bags, put it in the freezer, keep it in the fridge. I've got like 3 more meals with that pulled off meat right now that I can make soups with the broth that I made that it's going in the fridge. So it's so useful and so versatile. It just takes a smidge of knowing how to do it.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. Matt or Brett, did you have anything to add on top of Bob's? I know we're going to get into Brett's food soon, but it just seems so versatile and awesome.
Yeah, definitely using the thighs and legs is the point I think Bob was trying to make, and there's a lot of different recipes you can use those for. I wish I was at Bob's house right now so I could sample that sandwich myself. So
yeah, me too. I mean,
a few minutes, Brett.
You see the quantity of meat that Bob was able to get that so many hunters, have just left out there and stuff because we immediately go to the breast meat and stuff. But really, gosh, that's amazing. And thinking of all the different recipes that you can use, the convenience of it, for the follow-up meals. Yeah, I love it. I wish that was the cat. That's what I wish.
So for folks who may not want to go out hunting, but they want to experiment with these wild games, I mean, like, have you all traded with people before, or do you like set up, swaps, or where can people get wild game from if they're not sure? They'll obviously not buy it.
Yeah, I barter with people all the time. Actually, I have. I love that you brought up foraging for mushrooms and that learning curve for you, because it's been the same for me, kind of from hunting to mushroom gathering. I have mushroom gathering friends that I barter with, and friends that have more extensive gardens than my own that I barter with. So I love that.
I'd be willing to do it if anybody wants to barter some wild mushrooms or any of that stuff too. So I don't.
All right, Brett.
I don't generally do it, but I'm open.
I'm coming. I'm gonna be coming your guys' way with bags of mushrooms when I find them. So, awesome. Well, we're gonna let Bob enjoy the sandwich. We're gonna throw it over to Brett, who's gonna show us. Oh, look at that! Let's get a close up.
That's it. A little mayonnaise on there, and I'm gonna enjoy eating this. This is great going first. Now I get to put some mayonnaise on it, kick back, and watch Brett do some cooking, and Shane watch you do some more.
That is awesome. All right, so we're gonna throw it over to Brett, and he is gonna be showing us some kebabs, right?
Yep, that's correct. Mine's gonna be less labor intensive than Bob's was, which is perfect for me. But basically, my recipe is going to include bell pepper, green bell pepper, onion, red pepper. I also have some mushrooms cut up and wild turkey, and I'm going to top it off with some Creole seasoning. So I'll get started. I've already done most of my prep work as far as cutting everything up. So all I'm going to do is use my skewers and start skewering up some kebabs. So I'm going to start with a mushroom. It doesn't really matter, however you want to do it. And I've actually marinated my turkey breast. Let me back up a little bit. On my turkey breast, as soon as I harvested the turkey and processed that and put it in the freezer, I actually cut it up into nugget size pieces. That's how I prefer to eat my wild turkey breasts, is either making turkey nuggets or, in this instance, kebabs. And it's just easier if I, while I'm motivated in the moment, to cut the turkey breast up so it's ready to go and eat the way I want it. So it's a little bit easier on the back end of it. So start with a mushroom. I'll go onion next, little red pepper, green pepper, and then I'll throw on maybe a couple pieces of turkey if I can get it on here.
And where did you hunt this turkey, Brett? Sorry.
This turkey is probably a late season Vermont turkey. I think I had a friend that I hunted with that actually left the breast meat with me. So I think that's where this turkey came from. It was a friend's that I helped him harvest. So
that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. He left a turkey breast and at least one turkey breast for me, and I was happy that I could help him out, get his turkey here in Vermont. And then it wasn't really a trade; it just happened to work out that I benefited from the harvest by getting the meat too. So
that guy might have some chanterelle mushrooms, Brett.
Yeah, the chanterelle mushrooms, but that trip to Virginia to get those would be a little expensive trip, but. Yeah.
So for folks who, I know you all said to never ask where you go hunting, but what do you look for when you're picking spots, and what suggestions do you all have for like approaching landowners and offering up harvest and just, being a good steward of the resources that allow us to have this type of fun and provide this food?
Yeah, I'll jump on that while you're working there. I love taking packs of frozen venison when I go to ask somebody for permission to hunt. And if I'm fortunate enough to get a yes, I'm thrilled to hand over a pack of venison and say, hey, I'd love to just say thanks if you'll take a pack of venison as a thank you gift. And I haven't had anybody turn me down yet. Yeah, I kind of enjoy knocking on doors. Sometimes you get some grumpy people, but I've also made some friends that way and had some good conversations anyway. So yeah, I look for stands of oak, woods and fields. The awesome thing about scouting for turkeys is you can go listen in the spring, and if there's a gobble in those woods, there's a turkey there, so your ears can head you in the right direction.
It's just another reason to get out and start walking around.
Yeah, right.
Kind of curious, how do you guys get ready for fall turkey hunting? How does your scouting change and that sort of thing?
Well, fall turkey hunting, the tactics are a little different. In the spring, you're basically targeting the male turkey. It's going to be a bearded turkey in the spring, and the hours are a little different. In the fall, I don't change my tactics as far as locating them goes too much, but you can shoot basically any turkey in the fall is legal and in fair game. So knowing where there's several flocks certainly is helpful. And hopefully it's on land that you already have access to. I do hunt quite a bit of public land too. But if you don't have access to it, but you happen to see turkeys in a harvested cornfield day in and day out, find out who owns the land, go get permission to hunt there. Just finding the birds before the season starts is quite helpful. I have a friend that's going to come up, I think, and we're going to, you can break the flocks up in the fall and then call them in that way. And in Vermont, you can hunt in scattered flocks with dogs as well. So I believe I'm having a friend come up that has a dog trained specifically to break up flocks of turkeys, and then we'll try to call them in that way. So
I'll bring it back around to what Shane was talking about. In the next couple of weeks, couple of months, you can be walking through any woodlot looking for mushrooms, looking for scratching in the leaves. This is just a great time to combine it all into one wander in the woods.
Just curious, what's you guys seeing hens with poults this time of year? What's the production, the hatch looking like so far?
To me, the hatch is about as good as it could have been. Last year was not very good. This year's weather with the dry, warmer weather has definitely helped production as far as I'm seeing. And then observation from friends of mine that since I'm addicted to turkey hunting, everybody that sees turkeys usually messages me. So
that's one way to spot them, right?
Yeah,
you can create a Google map with your text.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm right on with Brett. This dry spring has been poor for a lot of things, including the corn crop down the road, but it's been great for turkey poult survival.
Fascinating. It's funny how all of that stuff works together in tandem for different ways. I know I know a lot of people were really hoping for that rain to come, and now that it has, it's exploded, but it also helped out, which is really cool.
Yeah.
How many of those are you making, Brett?
I'm going to make 3.
Nice. Those look loaded up. I feel like that's a meal.
They're pretty well loaded up. I'm getting a little hungry watching Bob eat, so I'm going to eat pretty healthy too. So I got my grill on already beside me here. So I'm going to put this other one on. I put this as the second one, and I'll show you my grill. It's not beautiful, but it's all right.
It seems perfect for the job.
It's perfect for the job. Yep. And I'm going to close that up. And I don't let it cook too long, maybe 2 to 3 minutes on one side and then 2 to 3 minutes on the other. So I think total prep time was probably 15 to 20 minutes to cut up the vegetables, if I'm not including the processing of the turkey earlier this spring. And then probably 10 to 15 minutes tops for cooking time on these.
And what did you marinate the veggies and the turkey in? You were saying.
I didn't marinate the veggies at all. I just marinated the turkey in just Italian dressing. But you can make up your own. Like I said, I was just trying to keep it as simple as I could. I had a bottle of Italian dressing and used that to marinate it with. And I did that yesterday. You could do it as little as just a few hours, but I happen to be more prepared. I was stressing about this cooking show, so I was more than prepared today, I guess, on that to get that done.
This is your chance to make it big, Brett. We're going to the Food Network next.
This is definitely. I'm sure I'm selling it pretty good right now, so I'm sure the offers will come in momentarily.
So while those are cooking, I'm gonna finish up my my side dish right here. So as I was saying, I just kind of throw everything in the pot, and this is a heavy cast iron. All the great veggies that are popping up this summer, and cook that down, and then basically just take the rice and fold that right in, and it makes for the perfect combination to kind of get your veggies in, get some of that delicious porcini mushroom flavor, and then just add some salt and pepper, and you can kind of keep this going on the side as you get all your other stuff ready and prepped up. So very straightforward. I think one of the big things that I hope is coming through here is just how easy it is. Like, I know I'm an amateur cook, and a lot of these ingredients might seem pretty fancy, but the simplest recipes usually are the best. Some Italian dressing on the turkey, slow cooking in some water, and just salt and pepper and butter usually is a good way to celebrate all the deliciousness that you can find out in the wild.
I just love it too, because I mean, you know, Bob's meal is something you could serve year round, right? It seems like that'd be a really good thing in the fall or something like that. You know, ready to sit on the couch, watch a game or something, and just, you know, summertime for me is all about grilling. So I really like Brett's recipe as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that is definitely the like quintessential outdoor type of recipe to really impress your friends with, especially if you're not known for turkey hunting. You can pull it out and surprise people that they know that it's wild turkey on it.
It can be served as an appetizer, or tonight it's going to be the main course. So it's a pretty versatile dish too, just like your mushroom dish and Bob's dish as well.
Awesome. And Brett and Bob, how is your Swiss, your Philly cheesesteak?
It is so good. I had enough meat. My wife came and took a couple of bites. I had enough meat left over to make another half sandwich, so I'm eating good.
That is awesome. So while Brett's finishing up his grilling there, I'm going to jump in with our final kind of recipe for the evening. And what we're going to be doing is this time of the year, berries are popping up all over Vermont. So we just had strawberry season, raspberries are coming up, blueberries, blackberries. You can not only find them out in the wild, but some farms are just doing a really excellent job at growing them, and Pick Your Own is up and running. And I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but the farmers are really taking care to make sure that your experience is safe. And obviously the food is just as local and just as delicious as ever. So what I'm going to make real quick to go with this delicious meal of wild turkey and mushroom rice is a wonderful strawberry summer mojito. So what I have here is some strawberries from Full Belly Farm in Moncton. My partner and I went and picked those a couple of days ago. Put most of them up in the freezer so we can enjoy them the rest of the year. I have some mint that we grow in a pot just outside our door. So I just went and chopped that off with some scissors. So you're going to throw the strawberries, the mint, really however much you want, into a glass here. Most of the recipes call for white sugar, but you know, we are in Vermont and we have an abundance of maple sugar. So I am going to throw about 2 tablespoons or so into the glass just to kind of get a nice base. And you really just do this to taste, depending on how you want your mojito to taste. And then from here, what you do is you just muddle the actual ingredients all up, kind of break up that mint so you get the nice aromatic smell coming, you get that flavor. It's going to create this like nice, gooey, juicy mess, especially with the strawberries. And if you don't have a muddler, I'm just using this wooden spoon because, again, this is an amateur kitchen, and we just are doing this for fun. And I know My partner's gonna appreciate that I'm taking the time to make her a couple of mojitos for when she gets back. So once you get that muddled, throw some ice in the cup. Maybe some ice that isn't all frozen together. You're going to take about, depending on your drink, you want to take about 2 ounces or so of white rum. There's also, I mean, really you can use any rum that you want, but depending on how you're feeling, you can make it stronger or a little bit weaker. Throw that right in. And then what I like to do is I like to take that mixture and give it a good shake. And then just pop all of that right into a glass. Get some of that good gooiness in there. And then you're going to, oh shoot, you want to know the thing that I forgot? Limes. So in your initial thing, you want to put some lime. So if you forget to do that, just squeeze some in at the end. About like 3 to 4 wedges will do you well. Throw that in and then top that off with some soda water, and you have yourself a nice, wonderful, fresh, dare I say, rooted in Vermont cocktail that is sure to win you favors for whoever's drinking it. So throw that, top it with some mint as well, and what you got is something delicious and fresh here to enjoy. And it tastes really, really good. And you could do that with just about any of the berries that you are finding, or really anything else that you find around. It just makes for a nice, perfect summer drink, incorporating some of those fresh Vermont ingredients. Brett, how you doing? I know, but I'll trade you a mojito for a cheesesteak.
Yeah. Our raspberries out in the yard are popping right now. Now I'm inspired.
Oh, perfect. That's what we're here for, is to inspire. I'm gonna go out and get a turkey this fall is my plan.
Well, we should get out there and try to do it together. Maybe if we can get a plan to put together.
That would be wonderful.
But my grill is getting all the action. It's smoking up pretty good. Things are cooking. It might take another minute or two. I didn't have it as hot as I probably should have when I first put them on there, but it's coming along.
No worries. So, Matt, I guess as we about wrap this up here at the Vermont Wild Kitchen, I'm curious, do you have any kind of parting words from the National Wild Turkey Federation, or anything that folks should be looking out for if they're interested in learning more?
Well, yeah, it's so, just quickly, I guess, I didn't touch on this in the beginning, but for those of you that don't know, it's the National Wild Turkey Federation is a nonprofit conservation organization that was centered around the conservation of the wild turkey, and was one of the principal partners that was responsible for restoring turkeys back to the Northeast. And since then, we've sort of pivoted. I mean, turkeys, the restoration was a huge success, but we're really focused on making sure that we're conserving important habitats. We're trying to get that, new folks involved in hunting. And really, what's good for wild turkeys is good for a variety of other wildlife. And I think that that's the important connection we have and stuff. There's plenty of turkeys, but there's still species that are, of conservation concern, things like, rough grouse, American woodcock, golden-winged warbler and stuff. And when we make habitat for those species, we're making habitat for turkeys as well. So feel really good about the work that we do in Vermont. And would just encourage you guys to, stay tuned to our Facebook. We're looking to do a webinar here in the next few days on food plot management. If anybody's interested in learning how to grow food plots, we're going to speak with a couple experts on that. And, really appreciate doing this kind of programming. I think, we've spent a lot of time focusing on how to hunt and, habitat management and stuff, but really this is about celebrating the harvest, right? I mean, it's this idea of being able to cook and enjoy wild game, dinners is sort of one of the big whys of why we hunt, why we spend time outdoors doing this and stuff. And, I think wild turkey is a pretty versatile ingredient in a lot of dishes, as we've seen tonight. And, really just just hope we get to do more of these events in the future because it's pretty awesome. I mean, there's stuff out there to catch and hunt all year, so it's certainly no end in sight. But Brett, did you want to just talk a little bit about you got a fundraising banquet coming up here later? Yep.
And also show us those kebabs. They look awesome.
I'm plating it right now. It's really fancy plating. I'm a professional at this too, so.
You're not going to organize it in the colorful rainbow or anything, or what?
No, I think that should be good enough right there. And then just to top it off, this is when I put the little Creole seasoning on. Hopefully I don't dump too much of it out here, but hopefully some comes out. Bam. Sorry, I think somebody
copyrighted. I'm pretty sure.
Whatever. But yeah, so we have a fundraising banquet coming up in Quechee, Vermont on August 22nd. So if anybody's interested in that, they can reach out to me or go to nwtf.org and check out local events in Vermont or wherever they're turning in from. So there's usually something going on. I'd love to see people there.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I can't say thank you enough for joining the Vermont Wild Kitchen tonight. I mean, like I said, as someone who took the hunting a little bit later and is still learning, I'm just perpetually amazed at the generosity of this community. And to Matt's point, I specifically came to it from a food angle. So I know there's a lot of other people out there that are thinking about their food, and especially right now, thinking about where it's coming from, how they're going to be able to get it, and really trying to get out of that system that dictates we got to go pick it up from the shelves of the grocery store. So I'm really excited to have you all here, and I hope soon enough that we'll be able to get together and enjoy the harvest together, because as Matt said, it's one of the best parts about being out and enjoying the woods and the resources that Vermont has. So on that note, does anybody else do you guys want to add anything else before we say goodbye?
Quick 2 cents I would throw in is, what was that, Brett?
I just said I want his mushroom dish to go with my dinner tonight.
Okay.
I know.
There have been a few times that I've been able to kill a turkey, harvest mushrooms, harvest ramps from the same piece of woods, and have them in a meal together. There is no more powerful way to connect with the land that you live than by eating a meal that comes off of it. So thrilled to be a part of this tonight.
Awesome. And again, for folks who are looking to pair their wild food up, Vermont has a ton of great farms out there too. And you just really can't beat having all that rooted in Vermont food on your plate. So with that, we're going to say goodnight and thank you all for joining us. Hopefully we will be back here soon enough. So have a good night, everybody.
Talk to you later. Thanks.